In this video, I've got 9 tips for you to get the most out of your photo editing in Luminar Neo. The first one's really important, and that is to apply a camera matching profile wherever possible. As standard, your file has the default Luminar Neo profile applied to it, and it's a pretty good profile. However, if you can use one of the camera matching profiles, you're going to find that your colors are much more accurate, the contrast is more accurate, and you're at a much better place to start your edit rather than relying on a generic profile. You get access to the camera profile through the Develop Raw tool inside of the Essentials, and right at the very top you can see here we have access to the camera profile. If I just make a few corrections to this file quickly, so we can really highlight the embarrassment of my son slipping into this icy lake.
The embarrassment.
We can see under the camera profile here that we currently have the Luminar default applied, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it, but it's not particularly accurate, and if you can get it closer, you want to. So watch as I switch this to camera standard. You will have seen a big marked improvement, particularly in the richness of the colors, such as the pink in my daughter's t-shirt and the blue in the sky. If I switch back again to the Luminar default, you can see how much flatter that looks. Whereas even if I choose the camera neutral profile, those colors still look better whilst giving me access to a greater dynamic range in the highlights and the shadows. If you don't see the list of camera matching profiles, there's either one of two things going on. The first, it could be you're actually shooting JPEG, in which case the camera profile is hard baked into the file directly from the camera, so that's not an option for you down the line. However, if you're shooting RAW and you don't see it, chances are those profiles just aren't available on your system, and I've put together a whole video about how you can actually put those onto your computer and have Luminar Neo actually recognize them. I'll link that in the description below. The second tip, and its importance cannot be stressed enough, and that is to use the Develop tool first. So that is where we access that Luminar default profile. That is the tool that you want to begin every edit with, because it is the foundation onto which all of your creative edits build on top of. So you have to start there. There's a couple of reasons for this, and the first is that you want to get your photo looking good globally before you start refining your edit and maybe going in and doing some local masking, adding those more creative tools. You want to get your overall foundation looking good, and that is the tool to do it. You might be thinking, well, that's great, Anthony, but why do I need to do that first? The reason for that is because it is only through this tool during the initial process that we are actually talking to the raw file that you've taken. The key thing to understand with this is that raw files contain so much more data than other photo file types. So if you want to bring back your highlights, bring back your shadows, all of those kind of adjustments, you want to be accessing that raw data to give you the most latitude to do that. Tip number 3 is to leverage a unique tool to Luminar Neo, and that is 𝗨𝗀𝗡. In the previous tip, I stressed the importance of starting your edit with a really strong foundation, and the best way to do that is with the Develop Raw tool. However, if it's a little daunting and you're not quite sure what all those sliders are going to do for you, a really good approach is to leverage the Accent AI tool, which lives inside 𝗨𝗀𝗡. Let's take a look. So again, I'm in the edit section here, and I'm going to jump into the essentials. So rather than going into the Develop Raw tool and making any changes there, I'm just going to hop straight into 𝗨𝗀𝗡, where you'll see the Accent AI slider. And as I move that up, look at what a transformation that does for our photo. Here's our before, here's our after, just with that one slider. That is the most powerful tool inside of Luminar Neo, and I still use it on just about every photo. However, I don't use it as I've shown you here, even though this is a great approach for getting things started. I'll usually save it to the end of my processing and not use it as aggressively as I have done here, but just add a little pop to what changes I've already made. Tip number 4 is to use the Pro extensions when necessary. The Pro extensions have given us access to some really neat image improvement features, such as Sharpen AI, Noiseless AI, all of those image quality improvements. But one of my favorite things to do is to use the HDR merge tool on a single image to recover shadow and highlight details. It's really easy to do. Let me show you how. So I'm going to reset this photo of my son. So we're back to our original. And if we come into the catalog here and simply drag that over to the HDR merge tool and click merge, Luminar's run its calculations, and we now have a new version of that photo. If we reopen that original photo, we've now got the ability to add that HDR layer, which Luminar drops in for us with a 50% opacity. And now we can see that's the HDR version, that's the original. And so if we wanted to just bring out the detail in my son, my dog, and the tree stump, we could come in and just mask that in only where we want it. Doing that very roughly with a brush. Of course, we could use Luminar's AI masking to do a much better job than that. Very rough and ready, but hopefully that will give you the right idea. So this was our original, and this is with the introduction of that HDR layer. So that is an excellent technique when you want to quickly bring back shadows, highlights, and detail information into your photo. And of course, you can combine that with developing your photo properly in the first place. Literally all I did was use the HDR merge tool on an underexposed photo, and already we're improving the results. So imagine what you can do when you're working alongside with the rest of Luminar Neo's tools. You can really finesse your images. Tip number 5 is something I'm sure you will have seen me use in my Luminar Neo editing tutorials, and that is what I call the 100% effect. That is to take any tool that you're applying to your photo and just rack the amount all the way to 100%, and that way you're going to see exactly what effect that is doing to your photo. There's no point just tickling it in at 5-10% and then making adjustments to the secondary sliders, because it's so hard to actually see what's going on. You're better off to actually apply the effect fully, make any changes and adjustments along the way. And that way, once you're happy with the adjustments you've made to the settings within the tool and you can clearly see them, then you can just tone that effect back to a place where you feel happy. So 10-15%, you might set it there, but initially you work at 100 so you can see exactly those subtle nuances to what you're doing. Tip number 6, remove distracting elements. This is something that's so easy to do inside of Luminar Neo, but often overlooked. And the main purpose of doing this is to create a cleaner, more impactful, visually pleasing photo. Sometimes you may have extraneous clutter around the frame of your photo, and the simplest approach to fix this often is to grab the crop tool and just bring that crop in tighter. We also have access to the AI cleanup tools such as erase, power line removal, and they are fantastic as well. Or if they're just not cutting it, then you can go old school with a clone tool. And that kind of rhymes, so it must be a good thing. Personally, the clone tool is my favorite for cleaning up images, and if you want some guidance on how to use that, I've put together a really complete tutorial which I'll link to in the description below. And with regards to links in the description below, it's really worth me mentioning that 𝗨𝗀 have currently got a mega bundle that they're promoting, the value of which is over $1,000, and they're currently running that promotion at a fraction of the cost. It's either $99 for people who already have Luminar Neo, and it includes several video tutorial courses, complete courses, really great educational value in that. There's a course on portraits, editing landscapes, drone photography as well, and there's also 233 assets that can also be used inside of Luminar Neo as well. If you don't have Luminar Neo yet and you would like to get it, this is an ideal opportunity because for $50 more they're doing the bundle, and it includes Luminar Neo, a lifetime license for that usage. So well worth it. I'll put that link in the description. Check it out, and if you're watching this video after that has finished, it's only running for a few more days I believe, but I do have my own affiliate link with a discount code that you can use. It's not as good a deal as what's running at the moment, but it will still save you something. Right, let's push on with tip number 7, and that is to harness the awesome power of LUTs. That's short for lookup tables, and what these bad boys can do for you. The movie industry have been using them for years. They're extremely powerful. They're available to us inside of Luminar Neo. What they allow us to do is some exceptionally clever yet very easy color grading by remapping the pixels that exist in our photo. So to apply a lookup table, once you're in the Edit tab, you just come to the Creative section, and within Mood, you'll find access to your lookup tables, where you can either add your own custom LUTs, or you can come in and select one from Luminar. So you can see with Genius applied to this one, we just have a slightly softer look to this. You can also double up on moods as well. By closing that down and reopening it, we have access to add a brand new look. So let's throw on something completely different. Let's put wooden on there. Let's crank the amount quite high. You can also change the contrast, drop the saturation if you wanted to. And now in the Edits tab, you can see that we have our 2 mood tools applied. And as we toggle our before and after using the \, key, you can see what a difference the application of those tools make. It's a fantastic technique, and I'd recommend applying it towards the end of your processing once you're happy with the overall look of your photo. You can also batch apply it to a series of photos to give a consistent look throughout a series. And that's a really nice thing to do for portraits, weddings, like in this example. It really is a worthwhile technique for you to take and put into your editing arsenal. Tip number 8. Oh, this is a goodie. I'm so guilty of this. If you over process your work, firstly, don't, but it's very easy to do inside of Luminar Neo with so many tools at your disposal. It's easy for you to add one tool onto the next, and before you know it, the process has gotten way on you. So a couple of points with that. Firstly, don't settle for your first edit. Sit on it, walk away from the screen, maybe even like leave it a day or so, come back, revisit it with fresh eyes. I swear you will see your photo completely differently, and any mistakes or over processing will stand out like a sore thumb. And jump into the edit section in Luminar Neo and go back to any offending tools that are just a little bit too heavy-handed. You can pull the effect back, you can delete it if you want to, you can make all manner of changes just to finesse that image to a more pleasing point. However, if the overall process has got away on you and you're not quite sure how to identify the offending tool and you want to just bring back the overall effect, you can do it using this technique. I shared it in my last video. A lot of people really enjoyed it, so I'll share it again here if you missed that one. So in this example here, I've deliberately over processed this original file here, and if we jump into the edit section, we can see all of the tools that have made up this edit. Now I was just slapping these tools on willy-nilly to create an effect. Now let's suppose I don't want to come into the individual tools and start tweaking the actual overall amount of those to try and get the look I want. I just want to fade this overall look back. Well, unfortunately, we don't have an overall look amount slider. However, we can hack that same effect. All we need to do is load the original photo back over the top of the edited version, and we can do that in the layers section by clicking the plus icon, then navigate to the original photo. And once you click it, hey presto, Luminar is going to load it up as a brand new layer with a 50% opacity as default, and now we can use this opacity slider as a customized overall amount slider. So obviously if we set that to 100, we're seeing 100% of the original version. Set it to 0, we're seeing all of our edited version. And now using this slider, we can customize exactly how much of our edited effect we want to apply. And my final tip for you is to use multiple catalogs. If you're someone like me, you probably end up with thousands, tens of thousands of photos of all different subjects. Some are of your family, some might be landscapes, some might be architectural in my case. And so having an ability to split those into a logical, meaningful system is a really great way to manage your photos. So the way you would do that is to set up separate catalogs to handle each of those genres inside Luminar Neo. So if, for example, you take a lot of family photos, I would recommend perhaps you set up a separate catalog for each year that just contains those specific photos from that year. If you're not sure how to set catalogs up and how to work with them, and you'd like a video from me about that, please just write catalogs in the description below. If enough of you request it, I will make a dedicated video for that. But for now, that is it. They are my 9 tips for getting more out of your photo editing in Luminar Neo. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give me a thumbs up. It means the world to me. And I will see you in the next video. What's that? What's that? I don't know. Next video is up there, so probably click that one. If you haven't subscribed, click that button there. I'm going to magically make it appear now. Click that, subscribe, video, goodbye. I'm going to go and have some lunch.